So what we did is we talked about that in a lot of detail, and so what I'm not going to do today is to re-preach 6 sermons to you. We talked broadly about the 3 initiatives that we are going to accomplish in the next 2 years. And the first one is to continue our normal weekly operations, right? One of the things that we do to impact our community, I'm going to move over here, our community and the world is to do Sunday mornings and to provide a place where we can come as a faith community to worship together and where you can invite your friends and neighbors to hear about Jesus. And so that's the first thing. That's our operations for the next 2 years. The second thing we wanted to accomplish is to dramatically increase the funding and the scope for our missions, both international and local. And we talked about what that means practically. The 2 big standouts are that we're very excited about Jake and Stacy Gerald, who are going to be going to Spain. They're actually right now in Madrid on a survey trip, so be praying for them. Also, Haley and Nice, who will be going to the Tarahumara people in Mexico doing medical missions. So we're really excited about those things. That's not to even include the missions that we have with Filling the Void Dallas and all these local ministries with Samaritans Inn and incredible things that are happening with Randy and the team there. And then the final bit of this is, of course, the building that we're building for our children's facility. And it's been something we've needed to do for a long time, and so we're doing that in the next 2 years. So what I wanted to do today is be a little more practical about, let's say, what does this look like in the next year? What does that look like for us and some of the things we can look forward to and be celebrating for? But before we get that, again, I just think we again need to remember how good God has been to us in 2019. I mean, we've just been able to celebrate 7 baptisms of Muslim refugees in Athens. That's not including, I just kind of wrote some of these things down because really there's so many things. You know, we've brought on 2 new staff members with Ben and Tim. We've sent 2 new missionaries out with the Geralds and Haley. Even last year, we can celebrate some financial successes. We actually, just our normal operating budget came in at 101% of our financial need to operate. We can look at Bridge Beyond, and there's just, I think, great clarity and momentum around what we're trying to accomplish. And so, again, there's a lot of things that we really need to be celebrating and grateful for, because as I said many times, most churches do not get together and say, wow, what do we get to celebrate today, right? And so there are so many things that are happening at Bridgeway that you see and you don't see that we are excited about and really believing that God's going to grow and continue to bless. Yesterday, just our elders, we get together on a monthly basis, and our elders, and we're just talking about Bridgeway and how excited we are about the unity and the clarity of direction. Really, I even look at our elder team and just the fact that we have such an incredible group of guys who serve in that capacity and who shepherd all of us. We just need to be grateful for them. Can we actually just say thank you to our elders who have been huge leaders in that? You know, man, our staff, the talent and the health we have, I'm just completely blown away all the time that we get to do church together. And so again, lots of things to be grateful for. So what I want to do, though, is I want us to look quickly at 2020. I want to give you a few updates and some things that we've made some progress on, and really to show that we're putting some of these plans we've talked about into action. And the first thing is I want to just tell you about some of the initial successes we've had with Bridge Beyond. So earlier on, I've told you about commitments, and those are great. We need people to commit, and I would say if you haven't still yet filled out a form, fill one out, commit to what you believe God's called you to do. Whether that's an over and above gift, or maybe you're just going to say, hey, I'm going to commit to giving what I've done, whatever it might be, commit to that and be a part of this. But super cool. So far, since November 17th, we've brought in $315,000 towards our Bridge Beyond campaign. That's like dollars, right? So yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. People are making good on their commitments, and so we're already seeing the fruit of that. And I imagine many, if not most of you, have committed to that, and really you've been a leader, and it's helped us to grow our culture of generosity in the church. So it's fantastic. And so when we look at this, what does that mean practically? Right? We've got 3 initiatives, we've got 3 things we're trying to accomplish. So what we're able to see with this level of giving, we now have to our, and I'll show you our budget here in a few minutes, but right now, what this means is that 100% of our operational need is met. 100% of everything that Roxanne and the missions team needs year to date is met. And now we've been able to make a small deposit even into our building campaign because we've been able to overachieve that. And so every month, we'll get to celebrate that. So as funds come in, the first bucket, which we've told about, is the operations. We make sure that we can operate on Sundays. Then we make sure that missions has what they need, and then anything left over we put into the building campaign. And so or the building fund, I should say. So again, some huge things that we can be excited about. And again, we're seeing those needs being met and God's being faithful. Well, again, we're going to need you and everyone else to follow through on our commitments. So that's Bridge Beyond, just broadly speaking. But I know a lot of you have been wondering, okay, what about the building? How are we doing on that? And so I'm really excited. So what we are looking at right now and I say this every time I say a date, I see someone write it down. Just please don't do that, right? But what we are looking at, and I think what we are reasonably confident about with our design build firm and the finances and all of that, is that we were looking at a groundbreaking most likely in the March or April timeframe. Yeah, so it's really exciting. So we've got things in process to move the Faith Factory, and we're working through permitting process and design processes. It looks like, though, we'll be able to start sometime late Q1, early Q2 of this year. In addition to that, we've been working with internal stakeholders. That means elders, our staff, parents, volunteers to help shape the vision and really the nuts and bolts of how the new building will function. So what we've been doing is we've had and some of you saw the fly through, you're like, well, what about this? What about that? Got it. We've been listening to those things and we've been making changes. Just to give you one example, we are now, with our elementary age, we are going to be having one big room that will be divided into 3 parts with movable partitions. So we'll have a very flexible space to have a great high energy, large group gathering, but also be able to section that off to have an appropriate environment for small groups to happen, right? And actually the cool thing is that was an idea that was sourced from our elders and from parents and leaders. So again, we've been able to incorporate some of that feedback, and then that's shaped the design. You know, another thing for those of us who have wives who are nursing mothers, and other people, you know, we've actually looked at our nursing mothers, and it's been brought up by not just my wife, but there's been people who have said, hey, we really don't have adequate facilities for nursing moms. And so with some of the space that we have opened up, we're now able and looking at how we can expand that area to where we can be more conducive to nursing mothers particularly, but also young families more generally. So just so you know, these are things that we're listening to and we're incorporating, and so your feedback has been huge, and I would encourage you to continue to talk to Tim or talk to people that you have relationships with about ideas and things. So again, those are well in hand though, and we're moving forward, and again, looks like early Q2 or late Q1, we will be able to make, to do some groundbreaking. So we'll talk about we'll have a big celebration. We'll do all of that probably in March timeframe. Also with missions, I want to give you an update. So what we are looking at right now with our new international missions points with Jake and Stacy and Haley is it looks like Haley is on track to go to Mexico in April, early April, or it tells me about April 5th is when they have the plan to drive her down and to get her set up. Jake and Stacy, they're looking at more of a May to June time frame. They're doing exploratory trips now. They're finishing up working on fundraising. And just so you know, they're doing a ton of traveling to do fundraising in person. So they're working really, really hard. But they've done an incredible job with raising a whole bunch of money, even beyond what we're giving them. They actually need quite a bit more. And they've done a fantastic job of doing that. So again, continue to pray for really all of those things as well. Finally, with mission, something that you need to know about, maybe that you don't, is that Art is going to be leading a team that's going to take a team of Bridgeway people to Athens this September to work with Peter and Rhea. And so you get to see some of this stuff up close and personal. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in doing like a short-term trip, talk to Art about that. It will be a fantastic trip. So again, those are some of the things, though, that are happening. And this is just us to really communicate back to you. We realize that this Bridge Beyond and One Fund methodology and approach is a little bit different, right? Something we haven't done before. But I want you to see that we're putting these things into practice and they're actually beginning to take shape, and we're making a lot of progress, and we've got a lot of momentum because you guys have been so faithful. So I want to thank you for that, but also just show practically, hey, here's what's happening. And so what we're going to do just in terms of communication is we're going to continue to use the Bridge Beyond page of our website. So as we have updates, and this talk will be up on the website for people to watch later. As we have probably quarterly budgetary reviews, we'll make those available so you can see how we're tracking. Right, again, it's a little bit different, like where do these buckets go? And I'll show you the budgets here in just a few minutes, but there's a plan for these things, and then there will be reviews on a monthly and a quarterly basis with staff and elders to make sure that we're allocating those funds appropriately. So again, I want to thank you for your generosity. I want to thank you for your faithfulness. And again, I think we should just get really excited about that. And I think we could even maybe make some noise and just to really show our appreciation to God for how He has been faithful to us. Let's go. Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's fantastic. And so here's what I want to do. That's the exciting things. The boring stuff, I don't like budgets. I can't stand numbers, but they tell me that this stuff is really important to do. So we do also obviously want to share with you back. And actually, can I get some help? And I don't know, there's more of you that showed up than I thought. So can I get a few of you guys who can help me to pass some of these out? This is a budget breakdown. We can just, thank you guys. That we can break down and show you, again, the plan. So what you're going to see here is indicative of 2 of the 3 buckets. So you're going to see an operations budget, which is everything that we need to operate. That means salaries, that means ministry budgets, building costs, air conditioning, the whole bit, everything that we need, that's going to be in this first chunk here. What I want to do is I'll just tell you right now what it is. You can read when you get these papers, and you can look in more detail here. But our total financial need for us to operate is going to be, it's just a little bit more than we thought. It's about $15,000 to $20,000 more, but it's $1.149 million. That's per year. So that's roughly where we were at last year. Just to give you an idea. So it's about 10 to 20, I think it's $20,000 more. So it's just a minimal cost increase from where we were at this year to last year. So really we're trying to be very mindful of our operations so that we can be extra focused on missions and our building right now. Because any dollars we don't spend, we can put into our building project and then minimize any possible financing costs. So out of this number, again, ministries, this is like ministry budgets. So these are monies that our staff has access to allocate at their discretion. It's about $160,000. Staffing, $670,000. Admin cost, $74,000. I wanted to take a quick moment just to call out, though, this $24,600. You guys, I think with the recent events in Fort Worth, with the church shooting there, I just thought it would be important for you guys to know, first of all, what we do now for safety and security. You know that we have uniformed officers out front and kind of walking around our campus on Sunday mornings. We have to pay them, but we feel a very good investment in our safety and security on our site. But in addition to that, there might be some other, we are looking at some other measures that we can just do to be diligent in making sure that we stay safe, realizing that God protects us and we trust in Him, but we also are going to be responsible. So we're going to be interfacing with our local police departments to talk about best practices and even looking at training to help augment people who are security conscious, and then even a volunteer team that we can pay to invest in training for them so that we can be better prepared to deal with any kind of emergency, a health emergency, or heaven forbid something like the church in Fort Worth. So I wanted to let you know that. We usually don't break that out, but I want to let you know that is a part of our operations. So again, I won't go into too much labor here, but I want you to look at also the missions budget, and both of these things are within a couple of dollars of what we've been talking about, so we're right on track with where we thought we'd be. I want to acknowledge, though, that there are 4 lines to a mission budget, but these 4 lines took Roxanne and Dave and her team probably 400 hours to come to, and I mean that probably with no jest, and Roxanne could probably back me up on that. Roxanne and the team continue to just operate at an incredibly, and Roxanne, just look at me at least. Come on, I know you don't like this, but look at me, and here we see you, and we are so grateful for the professionalism of your team, for how faithful you are. And again, so we're just grateful for all of our folks who serve on that team. But again, we want to acknowledge you as the leader of that effort, Roxanne, as well. So just so you know, as we're looking at this, obviously international missions, these are going to be the most expensive things that we do, right? So that means we're going to be helping finance large portions, not all, mind you, not all of our financial needs for our missionaries. So Peter and Rhea, in addition to what we do, they have external partners. Jake and Stacy, in addition to what we do, have external partners, and same with Haley, right? So they're doing a lot of work, but we're also having to make a significant investment just with the costs associated with international missions. In addition, I also want to remind you that when we're talking about reaching our Jerusalem, that is what we are doing here each and every week. That's what we expect you to be doing in your workplaces, in your home. And so when you look at this, we're putting a whole bunch of millions of dollars into this community as well. And so I want to put that into context because, again, that's a large portion of our missions budget. But really, when we look at what we do holistically, our first and primary responsibility is Jerusalem, and that it ripples out from there. I preached a few sermons on the topic. You can go back and listen to those. So what I wanted to do, though, is I wanted to share this with you so that you can have, again, really a lot of clarity about the plan, and we will also provide clarity about how we are doing in reality, right? Today we talked about this. Plans are plans. We do not trust plans, though we make plans. But we will share probably on a quarterly basis where we are at with these three buckets. Our expectation with our elevated giving levels is that our operations is going to be no problem. Our missions will be probably no problem. It's just a question of how much are we going to be able to bring into our building that we can source locally versus how much we might have to fundraise. And again, I still believe God's surprised us already. I believe that God's going to continue to surprise us and to show up and be faithful. But we've stepped in, right? We've stepped in the Jordan River, and we've gotten our feet wet, and we're seeing God work upstream, okay? And so I'm excited about this. We should be very optimistic. When we look at how we do compared to other churches who do this kind of thing, we are tracking way ahead of where a lot of churches who are bigger than us would be as a relative percentage, right? So we're small, but we're awesome, okay? So again, I think we need to be encouraged. I think we need to be still faith-filled and continue to pray and to continue to be looking for ways that we can invest in this ministry, both financially, but of course ourselves and how we can pour ourselves into this community and really to bring Jesus into everywhere we go. Amen? Amen. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to ask you one other question that has nothing to do with what we talked about. This is just kind of something we've been kicking around as a staff, and I just want to get your take on it. And then I'll let you go. We have been we have a bizarre phenomenon at Bridgeway with our services that our first and our second services are either equal or sometimes our first service is more well attended than our second service. Now, technically, there's nothing wrong with that, but the thought crossed our mind as we just try to be more effective, would there be any benefit or any value to moving our service times from 9:30 and 11 to 9 and 10:30, okay? You're ever, whatever, okay. This is just, we have no plans to do this right now. It's frankly a thought that we've had. Other churches are finding that people want to go to church earlier. So just unscientific as it is, if you would think there would be value in doing earlier services, will you just raise your hand? There are no right or wrong answers. Okay. And if you think that things are perfect as they are, raise your hand. Okay. All right. No. This is helpful. Okay. This is helpful. I don't know if anyone was counting on that. We'll have the ayes and the nays later. You can sign a ballot box as you walk out. That's just, again, totally unspiritual, but we're just, hey, if there's a better way that we can do things, it seems like maybe keeping things as they are might be the prevailing opinion. Of course, we always trust in our pastors and elders. Yeah. Zoinks. Okay, so here's what I want to, again, that's a lot of information really quickly. What I want to do is I'm going to make myself, Art, Scotty, and any of our elders available just for a few minutes afterwards. If you want to chat, if you have questions, concerns, if you want to tell us how awesome Things are going fantastic. We'll make ourselves available. I want to release you. Before that, I will pray, and then I'll let you guys go because I know we've got a lot of stuff going on today.